Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our third MERA Powered by Griff webinar. We have an amazing lineup for you today, and we're going to tackle the very important topic of looking at communications in the COVID era that we're all facing at the moment. We have an expert panel who have lots of insights for you. But before we kick off, I just want to thank everyone for the emails and the support that's been coming through for the Middle East Restaurant Association. We are still in the process of becoming an official association, so we are going through that process currently. However, we do have a survey that we've put together with JLL, and I would encourage you all to go on my LinkedIn and follow the link and fill it out, because we're trying to gather as much data as possible about the impact that COVID has had on the restaurant industry, not just in Dubai or the UAE, but around the world. And we will be sharing those results with you and tackling issues like delivery aggregators and rents, and finding out exactly what the impact has been on the industry. Now I would like to hand over to the fabulous Samantha Wood, better known as Food Diva, who's going to lead you through today's discussion and kick off with her views on the topic, and then bring in our wonderful panel. So over to you, Sam.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Today's webinar is very timely, as it's exactly a month since the first government directives for the F&B industry were rolled out. So it's hard to believe that that time has already passed. Our topic is very much about communications as a tool to not just support, but I'll go as far as to say that if you had a sound business model prior to this crisis, and operationally you have adapted, the right communication strategy has the power to save your restaurant or F&B business. So I hope we'll be able to show that by the end of this session. Just a heads up, I'd like you to keep in mind that we're addressing crisis communications, not just for the lockdown, but also for your recovery plans when restaurants are permitted to open again. I'm going to kick off with some theory, which should take around 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll open it to our panel of experts to share their expertise and best practices before fielding your questions. Please use the Q&A tab. I can see questions are already coming through at the bottom of your screen, and we will prioritize the questions on communications. Now, the icing on the cake today, if you haven't noticed, is you get an all-female panel. So we have Niki Walsh, Director of Marketing and Communications at Sarood Hospitality and Dubai Retail. If you want to raise a hand, Niki, even though everyone can read, I'm sure.
Hi, guys.
Stasha Toncev, the owner of 21 Grams. Claudia de Brito, the editor of Hotelier Middle East.
Good morning, everyone.
And Georgie Woollams, the MD of Katch International, who's actually in the UK. So raise your hand because she's actually had to get up very early for this call. Now, the difference to other crises is that this one is global, affecting the majority of businesses across different industries. It's not specific to your restaurant or F&B business, which means that you have your stakeholders and the customer rooting for you, and that's a silver lining worth bearing in mind. So whilst your restaurant is financially in the doldrums, this pandemic offers you an opportunity to rise to the occasion and make an impact with communications, in particular social media, given the increased usage. I mean, Instagram alone has seen a 40% spike. That's a global figure, by the way. I expect here it's probably a little bit more. See it as almost like your make or break moment. And in crisis management, we have a saying, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control what you do about it. And if you don't want to believe crisis experts, you might have more faith in Charles Darwin, who said it's not the strongest of the species that will survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. So these quotes are all well and good, but what in practice do they mean? So successful management of a crisis is about recognizing you have one, taking the appropriate actions to remedy, being seen to take them, and being heard to say the right things. Now, we often see companies only focusing on the first two, but the impact on your business is going to be determined by your response to the crisis. So making that right response is really critical. And it's that response that affects perception, which in fact equates to the reality. So how can you manage and control that perception? It's extremely simple with your communication. Transparency is hugely important in any crisis to effectively manage your reputation. Remember, silence creates issues and rumors. Now is not the time to go dark unless you're going to set up a dark kitchen. So media are clamoring for content to fill their pages, their airwaves, websites, and social channels. And you really have an opportunity now to fill that gap and control the narrative. So timely, regular communication is key. Every restaurant should have 3 objectives. Firstly, you need to safeguard the reputation. Firstly, you need to safeguard the safety, the security, and interest of all your stakeholders. Now, that's employees, that's customers, that's suppliers and investors. Don't just focus on the customers. There are a number of other stakeholders. You need to protect your restaurant's reputation. But at the same time, and this is the tricky bit, you need to continue to operate, whether that's deliveries only or post-lockdown. So what do you actually need to do? 5 steps. Firstly, listen to those stakeholders. For customers, their health and lifestyles are being impacted. Think about their state of mind and their changing behaviors. From lockdown to opening, how is that going to change? Be sensitive. Secondly, be sensitive to these needs. Show care and compassion through your tone and your messaging. By all means, you need to promote your deliveries, but no hard sell. Number 3, be transparent. Communicate openly across your social media channels and traditional PR. Ask for feedback. Be creative. Social media in particular gives you so many tools to do so. Number 4, adapt your strategy as the crisis unfolds and your customers' behavior changes. And use that time as well to prepare for post-lockdown. It looks like we're going to have a lot of time to prepare for it as well. Number 5, last but not least, rise to the occasion and consider how you can help through community initiatives and corporate social responsibility. So on that point, on that latter point, I'm now going to open it to the panel and to Niki first. So Niki, you've always been particularly passionate about the value CSR can add to Sarood and to Dubai retail. And now, in a time of crisis, you're prioritizing community initiatives. Can you explain why and what you are doing?
Before I do, thank you for an amazingly generous introduction, and also Sam for everything that you are doing for our industry, because you've used your platform always for power for good. Sometimes it's been difficult to hear. We've all had it and been in the firing line, but rightly so. But now you to use the word pivot again, because everybody, it seems to be the buzzword of the day, and what you're doing with UAE Restaurants Unite and your industry peers is amazing. So thank you, and long may it continue after this. And I think that's the point of the whole conversation. And what you said is, I'll talk about CSR a bit, and then I'll get on to what we're up to, because if a business invests in its mission in the best of times, it protects you through the worst of times. And I think that's one of the most true things that I kind of cling on to at the moment, that CSR is not just a tick box. And now more than ever, it's kind of a behavior manifesto, if you will. It's always been important behavior, but now as people, as brands, as stakeholders, as human beings, it's now under a giant magnifying glass. And those behaviors, I think, are really important at the moment as a salve of the soul, because we're all anxious about the future, is compassion, kindness, and gratitude. And from our point of view, we've always tried to look at, yes, we're restaurants and we're retail, but how can we use our platform to also enable a community? CSR is all about ethics, sincerity, sustainability, which we've always fundamentally believed in and tried to push, resources, responsibility in people. And when you think about the concept of what CSR is, it's basically a social contract of business and society, wherein the idea is that business functions because of a public consent. Therefore, business has, I think, a moral obligation to constructively serve society. And I'm very lucky. I work and have worked for and will only ever work for people who believe in this, because otherwise there's no meaning attached to a job. And it isn't just a job, it becomes then a passion and a vocation. For me, CSR, and it's definitely been the result in our two businesses and in businesses I've worked in the past, inspires a culture of innovation. Look at the world right now. People singing from their balconies, you promoting through your social channels doesn't net you any profit. It makes you feel good. Then it makes the person next to you feel good. And then everyone feels good. And then everything gets better. And really, it's that simple. Having a value system before you start all this in terms of crisis management is really, really important. We all probably watch Simon Sinek. We're all interested in comms. That guy's a genius. He says, focus on why you do something, not what you do and how you do it. And I completely believe in that. We built a value system in Dubai Retail and Sarood Hospitality around that very premise. And one of our key values is do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes that's a tough decision. It's not always the easy one. Sometimes that means doing right. And sometimes it makes, really tough things that you've got to do because of your business to safeguard its prosperity. But crucially, in times of crisis, we should be prioritizing people. And as hospitality professionals, the very definition of hospitality is generous entertainment for guests, visitors, and strangers. So we found ourselves, obviously, like we all did 4 weeks ago, going, oh my God, what are we going to do? We're closing all of our restaurants and our malls. We've got people, we've got able-bodied, brilliant people, and they're operators. And these guys are like addicts for things to do. So we wanted to give them something to do. And we were kind of in an ExCom meeting, really kind of brainstorming what we could do to help the wider UAE society. And we have a tiny little logistics network from the Noodle House. The Noodle House is has by its very nature been a caring brand, normally very eco-focused. And we thought, right, how can we really use this? And it started off as an idea to, right, let's help our frontline heroes use our logistics network to maybe run errands for people who are incapacitated, whether that's through time because they're looking after us so brilliantly on the front line, or because of illness, because that's a very real prospect for many, many people. So we agreed in our ExCom to go, right, let's start this Help Our Heroes campaign. The great thing about CSR is it galvanizes people of like minds. And through our journey in the last kind of couple of years with sustainability, we have met so many incredible people. Sam, you and I have worked on this together with some of those. And I made a phone call to a guy called Hemant Julka, who is my brother from another mother, the COO at Veggie which is an agri-tech farm. I urge you all to use his produce. He's an incredible farmer based out in Sharjah. But more importantly, he's a philanthropist first. I rang him and said, look, this is what we're doing. What are you guys up to? Because they're always about giving. They live to give. And he said, Niki, we want to help. We've actually sent all our staff home. We're not going to sell anything during this period of time. Can you help us distribute 500 kilos of fresh produce a day? I went, well, let's see. So we then, within about 2 hours, went to our ops team. And I want to shout out one of the most incredible humans I've ever met in my life, a chef called Alana Doe, who's our group executive pastry chef. This woman is, well, she should be on this panel, not me, actually. But she's too busy feeding people on the front line, and I'm busy doing the fluff in the background. So she single-handedly took this on herself. She has been besieged by personal tragedy in this whole horrific situation, but she's used that to fuel the fire of brilliance. It has galvanized our teams and a wider community like I've never seen before, to such a moving extent that, to be honest, communication is easy. For me, actions speak louder than words, and now more than ever. And what I absolutely would love to see is, out of this, we come from a culture of getting to one of giving. Imagine if you were one thing, before I sign off, stop talking, is imagine if buy one, get one free became buy one, give one free. We could change the world in a heartbeat.
Well said, Niki, actually. And I should add as well that Niki has been an incredible support. I approached her. There was a group of Dubai residents that were caught in quarantine in a hotel here, and she and the team fed them. This wasn't for social media, and you'll probably never hear about it other than on this call, but that just shows you the extent to which she's willing to provide support where she can. So thank you for that, Niki.
It's my team, not me, but I'll take the thanks and pass it on. Thanks, Sam. Again, you're such a linchpin for our industry, and that actually comes straight from you was an honour. So please keep it coming. We'll help where we can.
Thank you. Okay, Stasha. Now you've built a very strong brand for 21 grams. Personally curating that social media with a very compelling aesthetic, excellent engagement. How has that changed since the crisis, if it has, and what sort of advice, best practice can you share for everyone?
So yes, I've been personally creating 21 grams social media from day one, as I always wanted to keep this communication personal, warm, and honest. It gives me opportunity to naturally pick up the conversation from our dining room with our existing guests and keep a pulse on the sentiment and expectations of our guests, and also to reach out with authentic tone to new ones. As you might know, I'm personally involved in daily operations of 21 grams. I see what goes inside of my business, and I communicate that directly and instantly, which I believe makes our communication efficient and contributes to the good engagement. So what changed with the COVID-19 crisis? Our operation has changed, completely changed, right? So instead of hosting our guests at our cozy dining room, we are sending them food and smiles and hugs in paper bags. We swap porcelain plates with disposable cutlery and plates and boxes. And instead of having strong third years in business, our revenue significantly drops and we are fighting for survival. But with every crisis, there is opportunity, right? Our doors might be shut, but lights are still on and we keep talking to our customers. And I firmly believe that's the essential in this situation to keep talking and stay in touch. With this lockdown and people staying at home pretty much 24/7 on their phones, our opportunity to get their attention and to stay in touch has never been more imminent. So opportunity to share our key messages, opportunity to share our core values, opportunity to offer reassurance. We got the opportunity to express our point of view and emotions as well. And as well, we got the opportunity to ask for support, understanding, and reconnect on the higher level. As soon as the first side effects of the crisis kicked in and first restaurants started closing their doors, we came out with the honest statement on what the crisis means to us as humans, as a business, as a part of community. And we wanted to make sure that everyone knows that we are equally in battle with the same fears, same confusion, same reports, fake news, like they are. And that we are forever grateful for their support and orders and feedback. And we wanted to assure them that we are in this together and that we are doing everything we can to make sure that everyone is healthy, happy, and safe. From there, we've been communicating key messages. In a time like this, we really need to make sure and remind our guests and our customers that we are open, that we are ready to serve and here to support them and community. And with all day-to-day changes, we need to inform them on what's new, what latest offers, opening hours, delivery and pickup processes and so on. Everything has been changing daily, so it's important to keep them updated. And also with all these changes and new instruction and new rules coming in every day, we have to make some immediate decisions, which is not easy to do. And as no one of us has ever been in this situation before, we all have been caught by surprise and didn't have rehearsal for this. So, but we can ask questions as well, gather customer feedback, and make decision based on the opinion of people that mean most to us and our business. For example, due to the sanitization program and the remote work schedule, we couldn't keep the same working hours, right? But we asked our customers what operating hours suits them best. We couldn't keep the same menu items, dining items on the delivery menu as well. So we made an Instagram poll and asked them what dishes are to be kept. We reached out to other restaurants as well and asked them how they're coping with the certain pressing issues. What is important as well is that we should remember that we can ask for support as well. We shifted from dine-in business model to delivery only and launched the direct order platform literally overnight. And then we asked the most influential people and media in our industry for support, and we got it. They helped us promote new Southern business model by sharing our posts, by featuring us in their posts, in their relevant listings, and that helped much. But naturally, when asking for support, we need to ask what can we give back to our community, right? We have seen and joined some great community initiatives. Foodivas, Samantha's ZOE Restaurants Unite, and delivery aggregators Cut Down Rally, Food Shake supports local and Order Direct, just to name few. This really helps us stay on the same page, and it's wonderful to see how the industry came together in these difficult times. On other hand, we have upgraded our menu items to family size and discounted prices for 30% to support people staying home with their families and many bellies to be fed at this very moment. And I also would like to say that, as Samantha already mentioned, it's very important to stay creative. Our customers loved our personalized handwritten messages that have been sent with each delivery. Also sharing hacks and tips how people can get through these difficult times. Anything from easy to make at home recipes to favorite cookbooks and music playlist. Everything helped us stay in touch with our audience and reassure them that we are in this together.
Thank you, Stasha. Yeah, it's really interesting because you can actually, especially with social media, you can actually use this time now to test things out as well. More people are online, but they're willing to support, and you can use the polls, the Q&A options on Instagram for that. But it's a great time to be able to test things out to see if something would potentially work that you can then carry in post-crisis as well.
Exactly. But this is the true meaning of staying in touch. Is not just us talking, is us actually asking questions and listening to our customers. This is, I think, critical in this moment, and just not being there posting nice pictures or just key information. It's actually asking these questions and asking for support. Be free, feeling free to do so. It's very important. And then listen to those opinions and gather all this feedback. And this can help us to get through this.
Great. Okay, thank you, Stasha. Moving on to Claudia. Now, Claudia, in addition to your role as editor of Hotelier Middle East, you also co-host The Daily Dish on Instagram Live with Simon Ritchie, which personally I'm delighted is back because now I have something in my diary every day at 12 o'clock. And you're always looking for news stories to share. Why and what do F&B operators, and that could be those in hotels or independents, need to communicate right now?
Right. First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for having me on this wonderful panel, and thank you for all the work that you've been doing, Samantha. I think echoing what everyone said, you've really been a beacon of kind of galvanizing the industry and getting people united and working together. So thank you for that. You know, as a journalist, I think my responsibility and my duty is to my readers to bring them the news, to let them know what's happening and bring them the relevant information. Obviously, with everything changing on a daily basis, that's been a challenge. It's also been a challenge because usually I would get 100 emails an hour from restaurants or from agencies, and that's dropped down to a trickle. So what I would say, first of all, is please keep communicating with the media. Please keep communicating with us. We can only share your stories if we have them. So I know the temptation is to only share good news, but like, Niki said, the community is behind everyone. This is something that has affected everyone, and no one is here to point fingers. But, Samantha mentioned the Daily Dish the other day. Someone from a restaurant reached out to us just in the live comments and said, I want to help. We have food to give away, but we don't have packaging. And we've connected people, and now the community is being helped through that. I think if we're not communicating and not using platforms, be it Hotelier, Middle East, Caterer, or whichever platform, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. I also think, as Samantha said, transparency is key. Because people aren't reaching out to me, I've been trying to reach out to people to get the stories, and so many restaurants are just saying, we're not commenting on this, or we're not talking about it. And that's tough, because really the news will come out, and it's better to control the narrative, and it's better to be honest and hold your hands up and say, actually, we're stopping operations, but we're pivoting to delivery, or, certain of our employees aren't doing this, but they're now doing something else. It's about being creative as well, and being honest. So for us, we also want, good news. If there's a CSR initiative, or if you're upskilling, or if you're training, or if you're reaching out to the community, those are the stories that get so much engagement. And like Niki said, like-minded people will then unite, and the story can only grow from there. So, we've had so many comments on, for example, the Noodle House story with Help Our Heroes, and people get inspired by good news and good stories. So what I would say to restaurants is, please keep communicating with the media. We're an important platform to get those stories out there, and people like Stasha are doing a really great job using social media. But I think there's also something to be gained through traditional platforms as well. Our MO has always been to support the industry and provide a platform for hospitality professionals to tell their stories. I think now more than ever, we're about humanity and telling the human stories. Everyone is in the same boat. I think everyone is hurting, probably hospitality more than any other industry. But I also think that we're a very kind and human industry, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to come together. And but if no one knows about it, then there's only so far it can go. So to answer your question, I would say what we want to hear from restaurants is news. Tell us how you're doing, good or bad. We want to know because we can help you connect with people who can improve the situation. Hopefully there's so many people out there who want to help, who are willing and able to help, but we can only connect you if you speak to us.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. Yeah, you can't be expected to be a mind reader. So, I mean, restaurants have an opportunity now to really fill that gap and help fill your pages, both the print and online and on social, on the dish as well. So they can really help control that narrative and own that space as well.
Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, now moving on to the UK, Georgie. Now, you support clients with communications both in this region and the UK as part of Katch International, and you've been helping some pivot to delivery. What key learnings can you share with us?
Well, first of all, I want to echo what everyone else has been saying, which, you know, Samantha and Jennifer and MERA, like, you all coming together as a community now is amazing to see. Like, it's amazing to see everyone joining together, and actually us all being in the same situation has stripped back so much of that competition, and it's just really nice to see everyone coming together as friends almost. So in the UK and even the Middle East, it's very similar at the moment. So everyone's kind of, first of all, everyone's restaurants got shut down and everyone started to panic. So we saw a lot of clients go on pause, or we saw our clients pivot to delivery. Now delivery obviously is increasing, but actually delivery sales are still not as strong as what they were because people are worried about health and safety. So the first tip I'd give you is show the health and safety element of your restaurant, how you're packaging it and how it's being delivered to the door. Then Stasha talked about her personal touches that she puts on delivery. These people have been stuck inside all day, and when they receive something, they need to receive something that makes them laugh or feel an emotion. So use that delivery side, leave a personal touch on there, or provide a community message to actually to just bring some entertainment or just something different to people's day. To give you an idea, just on some numbers, so media consumption is rising at the moment by 73%. So your target audience, your stakeholders are all at home. There's a 22% increase in food and recipe websites at the moment, and there's a 25% increase in people opening their emails. So you have got an audience at home, your stakeholders are at home and they are listening. On the delivery side, as I said, it's so important that you don't give people a hard sell, but you provide them with some entertaining content. So for instance, we just opened a dark kitchen in the UK for a venue. We pushed out some very entertaining content, and we actually targeted it to a certain neighborhood. We saw a 10,000 people increase in followers in 1 week with basically, I'm trying to work out the dirham now, with a £2 budget. What was a £2 budget, Nikki?
Don't ask me. I'm not a numbers person. I'm a word person.
The rate keeps changing, but it was unbelievable. We saw 10,000 people follower increase with such a small budget, and that's because people are not using their budgets at the moment. Everyone's kind of pulled the shutters down and shut up shop, but right now you've got more of an opportunity than anything. And just because you're close doesn't mean that people don't want to hear from you. People need to be reminded about you. Stasha just hit the nail on the head, exactly what she's doing. Ask your customers what they want to see. Provide some entertainment. Show the family values of your business, or at least show what you're doing for your staff. Human interest is so, so important right now. And then when your doors do open, be ready for the fact that your community and their buying habits has changed. So we talked about delivery. People at home are isolating with their families. They don't just want one meal. They want to be able to order something for the family. This will continue even when our doors open again. People are still going to be nervous. People are still going to be very money savvy. So you're going to have to be ready to repackage what your offering is now and start thinking about it. If you do send a newsletter out, don't make it a hard sell. Show a community effort. Highlight maybe another brand and bring something more than just trying to get people to buy into your services. delivery is important, and there are that's the only way obviously at the moment that we can get your product out. But also people are still worried about things like sustainability. So if you are sending packaging out, look at how recyclable it is, look at the messages that you put on things like that. Don't revert back to plastic because it's your cheaper option. Keep your brand values, because if you drop your brand values, people really will judge that as well.
Yeah. Amen.
I think that's it.
Thank you. Well said, Georgie. Okay, we're going to open it up to Q&A now. I can see the odd sort of question has come through, but feel free to send more through. If possible, type it out in the Q&A section rather than the chat, because then it will be easier for us to get through them. Now, firstly, I see there's a question here from Arif Khan. With customer disposable income under pressure, what steps can we take post-COVID-19 to accelerate business beside lowering prices, offers, etc.? I'm actually glad you brought that up, Arif. I feel quite strongly that we should not aggravate this discount culture post-crisis. I think that the natural reaction is going to be for everyone to start discounting, and that's not going to do anyone any good. I would love to see restaurateurs get together in the same way everyone's trying to get together on the whole food delivery situation, and to say we are not going to discount. By all means, you can all host one big party if you want to welcome everyone back in, but I would refrain from going down the discounting route, because it's going to be very, very hard to recover from that, given you're already in crisis mode. I think perhaps I'll hand that over to Stasha, perhaps, if you want to shed some light on with your thoughts.
Well, I completely agree with you. I think we shouldn't continue with the discount culture at all, but we could probably go with, better value for money. I mean, which doesn't necessarily mean giving discounts, but definitely thinking about better packages, especially now with Ramadan approaching, and people will stay at home with their families. As I said already, there's going to be many bellies to be fed. I think we should look, at that opportunity to come up with a new packages. This is one way of doing that and helping our customers, through these difficult times. But not necessarily the discounts. That's definitely something that we all should avoid.
Georgie, do you have anything else to add? I know you covered some of that, obviously, in your thoughts, but do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, I was talking about repackaging. So yeah, 100%, you don't want to go buy one, get one free, but you can repackage, you can add more value. I think everyone's going to be looking for more value. So add a drink to it, or just add something where everyone who goes out, and we've learned this in the past anyway. So a lot of our restaurants in the week, we've learned that our customers have a potential number in their head when they go out to spend, and on the weekend they're willing to spend basically more. So we know that it's better to package certain options. So I don't know, a tasting meal for a set price is a better option than obviously a discount, but it means that your customer is then going into the restaurant knowing how much they're going to spend on that day, especially as everyone is going to be penny pinching after this. Some people have had salary decreases, some people have lost their jobs. They're not going to be wanting to spend a lot of money. So understanding the number that they're going to be spending by going into your restaurant or cafe is very, very important.
Sam, can I add something? I think that
yeah, of course, go ahead.
I'm just going to go ahead, even if you say no. Sorry. Use the same principle of look after those looking after you. Loyalty is everything. This whole situation shows us that. It's 101 on how to behave to your fellow human being. So reward people for looking after you in the tough times, in the good times, and pay it forward. And why I'll bring it up again, buy one, give one free. We could start this today. We could get this to launch today, and it could change the way we operate. You're getting that the value comes from knowing that you've helped another. for me, that would be the most incredible reaction to what is the toughest time. Where we can, we're already doing it, we're just giving it our bottom line instead. So how can we galvanize that to drive loyalty? Because the thing is if a brand has more social capital, then its community members are far more likely to advocate it and act on your behalf. It's just, it's just common sense stuff. I think we can do something big altogether to change this discount culture to become something much more important and meaningful.
Thanks, Niki. Also, yeah, just to add as well, I think aside from our panel here, there are a lot of others doing some great work on the communications front out there. I see a lot of what's coming through where I'm being tagged as part of the UAE Restaurants Unite campaign. Naeem's going to love this one, but Gates Hospitality, every day they are sharing updates, announcements, in particular now for Reform, which is their only license outlet, I should add, that is operational. But they're also doing quizzes with Public. I also think, shout out to Boca, who whilst they have decided to close their operations, they were the first to actually, from my understanding, from what I saw, to actually communicate proactively on the COVID crisis. They sent out a message on their social media to their database. And they're actually, despite the fact they decided to move to deliveries when we went into complete lockdown, but then after a day or two, they dropped that and decided to close. Now they are still communicating on social. So even if your business is closed, that doesn't mean your communications should shut shop as well. You still have ample opportunity to be able to communicate and to get the word out, to keep that community engagement there, and your brand and your concept top of mind. So as and when, hopefully, you can reopen, you will be there, and you might be the first port of call for residents as and when they can go out.
Can I just add on what you about then? A lot of people have just shut shop. They've stopped their media. They said, you know, we're out. People don't know what restaurants are coming back into the industry, and by shutting up shop, you're telling people already that you might not have that hope to reopen. So straight away, your loyal fans are down in dumps that their brand has gone. They don't know if it's coming back, but they will now start following potentially a competitor or someone else because of the fact that you're not engaging with them. So do not shut up shop. Carry on talking to them. If you talk to them less, talk to them less. Do what Big Mama did, which Big Mama Group, they've done cooking lessons. Their chef is sitting in the kitchen every single day and he's cooking a well-known dish from his menu. Preston Manger has done the same thing. It works. Keep talking to your customers.
Thank you. Okay, let's going back to the questions. One from Sarah Headley-Heimers here. Hi, Sarah. Could restaurants' delivery services add sections on the apps to select and therefore reduce the condiments sent with orders? I can't stop restaurants sending salt, vinegar, tomato sauce, etc., but I don't use it. So it's a needless cost to restaurants and the environment in some cases. Yeah, completely agree, Sarah. I mean, even sometimes when you actually select the option for no cutlery, it still turns up. But yes, especially the restaurants that actually run their own deliveries through their own website, through their own app, not through a third party, that could definitely be controlled. I don't know, Georgie, have you had any experience in that with your clients? What, with
the problem with things like an app, it all comes down to who is providing the service as the app. Yeah. So we all love a Deliveroo or a Just Eats or whatever sometimes. However, the message sometimes gets lost because of the system that they have in place. So all you can do is try and initiate not giving packaging or not providing condiments, but it really comes down to the aggregator mainly.
But Sam, when the whole when the whole Stop Sucking campaign kicked off, we all went to the aggregators and said, you need to put an option for cutlery, because you're delivering someone's home. They don't need cutlery. So they do it. I'm not saying they're perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We know that there's a lot of issues with them at the moment. But I think it's about power of voice, going to people and saying, you know what, we're going to vote with our feet. You don't do something, we're not going to use it. And I think that's really what we have to do now more than ever. Call people to account, which is what you guys are doing so successfully. But yeah, I think any change is, as you said, Darwin's theory is that those that adapt to change will be here the longest. So they should learn from that, maybe.
Yeah. Actually, Niki, whilst we've still got you there, as a question for you, the buy one, give one free initiative is great. Some coffee shops in Europe and the US have been doing this with coffee for homeless people for some time now. Question, as the advocate's devil, is how are you guaranteeing and communicating that this will actually happen?
Amazing. Thank you for the question. I've got no idea. That's what we're going to work. Let's work it out. But let's work it out.
We've got time to work it out.
We've got time. If only we had endless eons of time at home to sit and think about it. Oh, but we do. I think that we live in an age of transparency. We have been talking about comms all day. People behaving badly now and not doing what they say they're doing is unearthed straight away. So at some point, you've got to trust in trust. And I say, if someone says they're doing something now and they're not, they'll soon be found out. So is it by any means a perfect system? I don't know. I haven't worked it out yet. I'm sure I'll have a lot of phone calls after it. But I just think it's more about creating a culture of behavioral change. Like all these things, you can switch to something else, but it's actually educating the people how to switch their mentality to change is actually the most important thing now more than ever. So we'll get back to you on the plan.
Okay, just a question that's come through here. Ahmed from Three Phils, I think the future is more about co-creation. Restaurants need to have a union. Couldn't agree more, and that is, correct me if I'm wrong, Jennifer, but that's the purpose of the Middle East Restaurant Association. I know that there are some other groups that have formed. I was invited to join a WhatsApp group of sort of 300 plus restaurateurs. But I do think everyone should come under one banner, and there needs to be some structure behind it. And I think so far we're looking at what the Middle East Restaurant Association is doing and will continue to do, will provide the perfect platform for that.
Amen to that.
Okay, a question here. How to organically revert restaurant loyal guests from commission-hungry aggregators to, sorry, it's just disappeared from my screen. Yeah, commission-hungry aggregators to restaurant portals. Now, I think the restaurants that already had their own delivery websites, direct delivery set up, whether that was through a website, whether through an app, are the ones that are obviously benefiting at the moment because they were essentially inadvertently prepared for this crisis. Now, the ones that are suffering are obviously the ones that are held hostage by the food delivery apps. But I do think you have an opportunity now, like Stasha has done for herself. She said she did it overnight as well. You can move to direct deliveries. Now, what you will have to do is obviously market that. But social media is a brilliant platform for that. I don't know, Stasha, if you have any insights that you want to share on that?
I think it's very important to educate our customers that using the direct platforms are actually convenient for them, same as the other platforms. What happened before, why people didn't want to order just by picking the phone, right? Or why they're using third parties, right? Because it's convenient for them. Those applications are already on their phones, their credit cards are already registered. Many restaurants are already on those platforms, so it's convenient for them, right? And, just, calling someone, telling your order over the phone, giving your address, it's a bit complicated, right? It's not as convenient as the third party platforms could be. So now having these platforms, chat food, for example, it's super convenient for them. It's actually exactly the same like the other the delivery platforms, and they need to understand that it's inconvenient, that they're literally 2 clicks away from their order. That's one thing. And as well, we have to educate them what that means for us. Where is, why it's important for the businesses that they order directly from us. And we then are going back to, commission of the delivery aggregators. They need to understand that basically whenever we are sending our orders by third parties, we're losing money. We're literally losing money. And if they want to see us, healthy and live, they need to support us.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to address it. It's a bit like the elephant in the room, because I know there are a lot of questions coming in on the food delivery apps. That's not the topic of today's call, but I'm just going to say a couple of things on it. I believe MERA is also potentially working on a forum, another webinar specifically to address that. But just on the food delivery apps, okay, we've all tried through various means to lobby the apps. So far, an entertainer, other than Food Karma, which essentially focuses on surplus food, which is a great initiative, by the way. Entertainer were the first to waive commission. Obviously, they're a small player in the food delivery market. Careem now reduced their commission, another small player. The biggies, essentially, Uber Eats and Deliveroo have not. We've seen Zomato and Talabat defer commissions, which frankly just delays the pain. So we haven't gotten very far in terms of that. There are now some other campaigns by individual restaurateurs to log out. And I do think it's now over to the restaurants to vote with your feet. And we can support from a media perspective in any way. But it's really about making arrangements now for you to have a facility in place where you can take direct orders. So I hope that addresses some of the questions on those apps there. If anyone from the panel has anything to add to it, please do. Okay. What is the biggest focus? Okay, there's a question here. There's an opportunity for advertising now. Are there some platforms better than others at the moment for advertising? Are people preferring Instagram to Facebook? Okay, I will let Georgie add to that, but I will just say from my experience, from the stats that I've seen, Instagram is the most popular platform at the moment, in particular for food. It always has been, but in particular now. So that's where the focus tends to be in terms of engagement. Georgie, have you seen anything else?
So, well, you've heard me talk about this a couple of times. Facebook Live and Instagram Live are really, really important because, and I don't know if you've noticed, but Instagram TV has really extended how you can showcase your live content. So there's a massive increase in that side. Definitely from advertising, you can pinpoint your audience much, much better on something like Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is really adapting their platform right now. And they're giving you great tools to do some good content, but actually targeting and how you advertise to your audience is very, very strong as well. But right now, I would say Instagram. We're seeing some really good results with Instagram with our clients at the moment. And you've got things like as well stickers. So you've got your stay at home stickers or thank you community stickers. These all go into a dedicated chat on the top of your Instagram. So using those stickers means people will see more of your posts as well. So you don't just have to put budget to it, like I know everyone thinks you do, but you don't. Hashtags and GIFs at the moment are really, really working.
Georgie, actually on TikTok, and I see a question's come through on that as well. What's the demographic of TikTok? Because it baffles me as well.
Okay. When I last looked at the stats, and actually I emailed TikTok yesterday to say, can I have some more stats, please? Basically, in the Middle East, it's actually 24 to 32 that are predominantly on TikTok. We're seeing a big increase in downloads for TikTok, obviously because of the fact that they're providing you great tools to make content with. And that's the other word, content. It's not just, and you probably heard me say this in other panels, but it's not just about filming a video. Great creative content gets better reaction than an advert going out and pushing something. So content is key. TikTok, to be honest, started being very popular in the US for, you know, your Gen Zs and your millennials, but actually in the Middle East, and I'm talking not just Dubai, Saudi, Kuwait, TikTok is a very strong platform, and for older generations as well. So do not ignore TikTok.
That's interesting, the age. So it's quite a high. I thought it would be a much younger demographic actually, but for here it's quite. Is that changed much since the crisis? Do you know? The
downloads have increased since the crisis happened, but actually the demographic hasn't changed that much. No. And when I was with Griff in Saudi, I actually mentioned that basically TikTok is really it's not just for younger people, and we were there talking to hotels and restaurants, and you really do need to look at it as a platform because your audience is on there.
Okay, Stasha, are you using TikTok?
No, I still haven't explored that option, to be honest.
Yeah. I think Claudia, you had a go at it at the weekend, didn't you?
I did, actually. Oh my gosh, Samantha. Yes, I did.
You had so much fun by the looks of it.
Listen, there's so much food content there. I mean, you speak about Instagram, but there's a lot of really quick how-tos, and Georgie mentioned creativity, and there are lots of chefs being really creative with how they're using the app. The app has a lot of functions where you can go in and edit within the app and add music, and you can target people very easily. So yeah, I was a complete naysayer, and I'm probably a bit too old to be considered part of the target demographic. But I am really enjoying it, and I think it's a great tool. I think it's a great tool. We might go on it with Hotelier as well. But I think obviously you need to make your feed fit what your interests are, but it's great for tutorials as well. It's not just teenagers dancing around. So yeah, depending on what you want to use it for, and it's really easy to be creative on that app.
Okay, thank you. A question here from Matt from Keen Brands. We've noticed a lot of our clients are utilizing this time to strategize, refresh and create new brands, and have been a massive supporter of us during these difficult times. After this crisis, it would be a shame to go back to the norm. What would you take from this crisis in improving your businesses for the future? Actually, that's almost a great question to round off on. And I think what we'll do is we'll go across the whole panel as well, and to get one takeout from everyone on this. From my side, I would say it's preparedness. This crisis could have been prepared for. I know it's a pandemic. Hotels in particular are very good at preparing for issues like this, but unfortunately the restaurant and F&B business isn't. But you can certainly use the time that you have now for more preparedness. So I do think that, and your strategy and your planning needs to play a role moving forward. Georgie, how about you?
I think real content is coming out, and I think it's here to stay, which is brilliant because everyone has always had to have curated photographs, and some venues have not been able to have that budget to do what they're doing. Community, I really hope the community values that we're seeing around the world stays, and I think it will. And actually, again, what you guys are doing, all working together, you're not working against each other, and I really hope that sticks, because I think it's really important that we all You know, we talk to aggregators that we're not happy with. We work with suppliers and the underdog suppliers that need support. And I think us being on a panel as such now, it is showcasing that. And I really hope that community stays.
Thank you. Niki?
Aside from everything I've been banging on about, I think it's an amazing time for introspection. What do your brands actually stand for? Brands that behave like humans have more friends, period. So how do we make our brands more relevant and more meaningful, and therefore they'll serve the community better? I think that will be the interesting takeout.
Thank you. Stasha?
Well, you know, staying in touch and staying together, definitely. As I said, it's really wonderful to see how we all came together in this situation. So staying together is vital for all of us. And we're talking about all stakeholders and customers and everyone in this industry, and seeing all the support coming through, it's honestly a wonderful thing. And for us, it's important to, as Niki said, to stay focused on our core mission and core values. This is going to help all of us, you know, now and later when the post crisis. You know, we have to remember why we are here, why we are doing this, and what we want to be, and what we want our customers to be.
Thank you. Claudia?
I would say keep communicating with us, and when you do, be human. Don't worry about it being too polished or professional. Arne Sorensen, CEO of Marriott, just came out with a second statement. He's showing his face. He's going out there and saying, listen, we are struggling, but this is what we're doing, and this is what we're doing to give back to our loyal, you know, members. So I would say keep talking to us and show your human face. We are an industry about people, for people, and yeah, if we can only help you if we know what's going on. So please let us know.
Thank you. I'm just going to answer one more question before we close that's come through. I think it's quite an interesting one. From Kern, what is your prediction on the number of F&B outlets that will never reopen again once the curfews are lifted and we can go about our normal business again? I think naturally we would have seen probably about 25% closures anyway, irrespective of the current crisis. I think those businesses without a sound business model prior, and those that are not communicating, I think we will see another 25% closures. That's my take on it. Thank you all. Thanks to our wonderful female panelists for your time today over the last hour and all your preparedness. And thank you all for tuning in and listening in. I'm now going to hand over to Jennifer to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha, and to the panel. I personally have been scribbling down notes because I think there's so many amazing takeaways from this, and hopefully we can extract some of those and include those in the thank you email that we send everyone around for attending and the recording of the webinar. But I think Niki's point really resonated, and this idea of something really positive coming out of it and changing that culture to buy one, get one free, to buy one, give one, would be an amazing takeaway to come out of this crisis with. And I think that it's something also, this idea of community and keeping the community together and encouraging people to work together during this time. Hopefully that will continue on long after we're out of lockdown. So thank you all so very much for attending. Really appreciate it. I know there's been lots of questions in terms of what MERA is going to do with delivery aggregators and moving forward. Hopefully we'll be able to answer these questions for you in the coming weeks. I would encourage you once again to fill out the JLL survey that we're doing with JLL to try and get as much information as possible on the true impact on the industry. So then we have some hard data and facts that we can then move forward from there. But thank you all for your support. Really appreciate it. Next week, we have a great webinar for you with Ali from Angora, who's going to talk to some F&B leaders about how their businesses are responding to the crisis and what impact they've seen. We'll be sending out through another link and further information in the next couple of days. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.